Here it is, the annual top 10 upcoming MMORPG list for this year. Every year we look forward to the new MMOs being announced and hopefully seeing them being released. But as we know, a lot of things do change, especially with the COVID delaying a lot of the development through last year and even this year. On top of that, there are a lot of MMOs that have been stuck in an early access for many years at this point. So I didn't want to include them again in a list unless we actually heard them having a release date this year and that it's finally set for a release, well, this year. It's funny because for the years that I have actually made this list for, most of the MMOs ended up being on the following year. So that is why I decided to tread lightly this year. Hopefully we see most, if not all of these MMOs release this year, 2021. I'm also going to include an honorable mention list at the end of the video for those looking to look forward to some more, possibly next year or in 2 years, for the MMOs that I thought are looking to be quite interesting, and hopefully that we would see, like I said, 2 or 3 years from now. So stay tuned until the end of the video to look out for those. You might be thinking, wait, this game just got its release in the West last year, right? Yes, it actually did, but this is shaping up to be almost a fully new game within the same universe. It is going to introduce a overhauled, updated graphics and a transition into an open world game where PSO2 is a lobby-based game. Although Phantasy Star Online 2 will still be available to play, New Genesis is going to coexist as the updated version, meaning you can still play Phantasy Star Online 2, but this one's also going to be there as the new version, of course. The idea of New Genesis is to usher in a new generation to the already popular series. That way people can continue to enjoy the series. Character specifics such as their level, class skills, photon arts, and the techniques won't actually transfer over, so this is really kind of looking like a fresh start for people in a new and improved world, or so we would like to think so. All in all, this is exciting to see that Sega is looking to keep the series fresh and alive, so hopefully the game has a release a little bit smoother than the Western release of Phantasy Star Online 2 did. Nonetheless, it's very cool to see this title come out this year. Book of Travels might not be everyone's cup of tea clearly, but it definitely looks to impress with its unique art style and systematic approach. It's considered to be a TMORPG, and I know this is supposed to be an MMO list, but I couldn't help myself to not include such an interesting title onto this list. And for those who don't know what a TMO is, well, the T stands for tiny, so it's considered a TMORPG, tiny multiplayer online role-playing game. And they consider it to be that because the servers are limited, which it's going to result in an uncommon amount of meetings between the players. The absence of guilds and factions give the player the option to value their time that they play with other people because it's not going to come often. Also, after you create your character from over 20 different forms that focuses on your personality and your identity of a character, you're going to face some random occurring events that actually shape your story to become unique to your character. The inspiration on old world fairy tales, mythologies, and the early industrial areas mixed with its art style present a game that I can proudly say is actually very unique to the genre, even if it's slightly a part of a different subgenre. This game actually might be one of the more unique MMOs, and like I said earlier, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for that specific reason, I think a lot of people can actually enjoy it because it's kind of different. It gives you a fresh take on the genre. Crowfall, one of the many MMOs that was in early access for many years and has recently transitioned into closed beta. Crowfall was looking to become one of the more interesting upcoming PvP-oriented MMOs for many years up until this day. And some would argue with and some would argue against, but with less and less MMOs releasing, it does seem to be worthy to be on this list. Crowfall focuses itself on large open world PvP with sieging, something similar to Warhammer Online or Dark Age of Camelot. They want players to band together with their guilds and their factions to grow their castles into kingdoms and see who can reign supreme on the server. The servers are considered to be campaigns, in which last less than a year in order for players to continue to stay intrigued with the ever-evolving landscape of a new campaign. But that doesn't mean the past doesn't matter, because why would you play? After a campaign ends, players will have certain rewards carry over to the next one. In addition to that, there is a player-driven economy for players to fill their own shops with different types of vendors, crafting a destructible world and its objects, and the ability to claim different territories on the map, such as like a quarry or something like that, which is unique to that map and each campaign. If you are someone who looks for a PvP-oriented MMO, then this could actually be the one to look out for this year. Lost Ark, the MMO that has been on many MMO fans' lists for at least 5 years now, if not even more than that. The game released in several countries, yet it still has not released in the West, but it looks to be finally making its way over here. I feel like I'd be kicking a dead horse if I keep telling people about this game, so I guess I'll try to keep it quick. First off, Amazon's going to be publishing the North American and the European versions of Lost Ark. Despite their history with games, this could be good or it might be bad, who really knows. When it comes to the game, well, it offers a lot, like I said. Raiding, dungeons, mini-games, sailing your ship to other islands to hunt for treasure or maybe conquer an island, professions, PvP arenas, and really, probably my favorite thing about the game is the attention to the detail and the polish of the game. Personally, I've been waiting for this game for way too long, and I really can't wait to finally be able to play an English version of Lost Ark. Starbase is an MMO that I also had on last year's list, but we now know that they're looking to release within the first quarter of this year. It is a voxel-based MMO with quite an immense amount of simulation within its game's mechanics, so if you're someone who enjoys modding in Minecraft, then this might be eye-catching to you. You can construct spaceships, each individual piece at a time. You can fly through space, dodging asteroids or other planets, or you can land on them to explore them and mine them. If you're a corporate climber, you can even build massive automated factories, the design for the electrical and the data networks within them as well. You can freely explore the world, build what you can and tear down what you want to, because much of the entities within the game, if not almost all of them, are fully destructible. You can also mine the asteroids that you fly to, craft using those resources, trade with other players that you find throughout the world, and of course, you can kill those players if maybe they, looked at you the wrong way or something. The universe of Starbase is for you to explore. Get lost by yourself or with some friends, to build a spaceship or to build a space station, or maybe just fly around and mine throughout the space. Whatever you fancy, you can do within Starbase. Fractured is an open-world sandbox MMORPG that is being marketed by the Dynamite Studios to be mixing action combat with fully interactable environments and grind-free progression. You will create a character that will be within one of 3 worlds, with each having different environments and type of competitive levels with them. Once you create your character and hop into the game, you will be able to partake in any form of content right away. The developers want the players to be able to play with anyone at any time and not have a max level content bar that doesn't allow new players from experiencing the fun, quote-unquote endgame content. Instead, they want players to conquer and gain knowledge, which is how players will identify certain items throughout the game. You can explore the world of dungeons, bosses, and even kill other players throughout the world. Fractured is going to be a buy-to-play model with the option for a VIP membership of, I believe it's $10 a month for a couple of extra benefits. It seems like this is kind of like starting to become the more standard for MMOs nowadays. Nonetheless, be on the lookout for the Sandbox Survive and Conquer MMO this year. Blue Protocol is another large MMO that has been on the lookout for a lot of people for a while now. With its majestic and anime-influenced art style, its fast-paced action combat, realm for exploration, keenness to feeling immersed within the environment and the world of the game, and all of its plans for endgame content, Blue Protocol looks to be a promising MMO in the near future. The game puts a large focus on the narrative with a fully voice-acted main questline, which you don't often see in MMOs nowadays. The game will also mainly focus on PvE content, such as 6-man dungeons, 20-man raids and raid bosses, as well as PvE-oriented arenas where players will fight off hordes of different types of enemies. They also put a focus on crafting as a way for players to progress further in the game, which is something that might end up being a part of some sort of gacha kind of system, as it is going to be a free-to-play game, but we're gonna have to wait and see how that actually works in with the game. A lot of you have seen and or heard of Blue Protocol at this point, so I'm sure a lot of you are actually excited for the game, as so am I. Elian, previously known as Ascent Infinite Realm, that is being developed by Crafton and published by Cacao Games. Elian looks to take some of the promising features from the previous title, Ascent Infinite Realm, and switch their focus on other certain features as a way to polish the game better. Previously, the focus was on the flying combat, something that wasn't really explored a lot in MMOs, aside from maybe like Ion, but they even kind of half-assed it, I guess you could say. But they actually ended up revamping that system a bit to be closer to what Ion is now. They also worked on the polishing, the questing, and even the ground combat some more since they've been working on Elian. The game's combat is very similar to Terra, which is actually still one of my favorite combats in an MMO to this day. The setting is a cool mix of a kind of cyberpunk-esque mixed with fantasy, so the environments are quite different from what you would see from MMOs right now. The game will focus on both PvE and PvP at endgame, so you can do dungeons and 1v1 arenas, and hopefully we see a little bit more high-tier content like raids, ranked arenas, and etc. The somewhat no longer and less than it was a year ago anticipated MMO from Amazon, New World. Really, what can I say about this MMO that people don't already know? The now less PvP focused MMO is still going through some changes until its release date. It's working on a faster and smoother combat system. They're looking to put more mid and high level content, as well as some more casual features that made a lot of people feel bored in the game if you weren't just questing or doing PvP or just professions. Of course, there's still going to be the same endgame content that focuses on the open world PvP and sieging castles, as well as the rifts that you find throughout the world. The one thing that Amazon is actually doing well is accepting feedback and listening to their community. Like I said before, they saw that players wanted some more mid and high level content and some more casual features, so they aim to put that in and work on the combat. Optimization definitely needs some more work, so hopefully by the time of the release, we can see a little bit more of an identity to the game. Nonetheless, I'm sure people are going to try it out, and I'm definitely going to give it a go once maybe the next beta comes out or once the game actually releases. Corepunk, my personal favorite upcoming MMO on this list, and it's actually surprisingly riding under a lot of MMO fans' radars. Corepunk has been in development for quite some years now, and have been showing off their updates every couple of months or so to their fans. So far, they're looking to bring a lot of endgame content in the game at release, as well as an interesting main storyline while you're questing up to max level. The game will offer dungeons, max level raids, open world PvP, with a twist based on their Fog of War system, small PvP arenas, battlegrounds, world bosses, mini bosses even that you can find throughout the world, and maybe even some more by the time that we see it gear up for release, who knows. The game's attention to detail looks quite intriguing, and the developers actually listen to the feedback from their community. Unfortunately, like the other games on this list though, they were affected by COVID during the development, so they were originally looking to put a beta out in the last quarter of last year, so hopefully we can see a beta sometime soon this year, and then a release by the end of the year. Alright, as far as honorable mentions go, first off, I want to talk about Ashes of Creation, because that game is, slowly just building up steam more and more, and they're really working on the polishing of the game and introducing a lot of great features that I think any MMO fan can really enjoy. from the veterans to new ones to people who don't play MMOs. I think it looks really, really good. And, you know, just with better optimization and in due time, I'm sure maybe, you know, sometime late next year, maybe a release could be in this future, but we'll see. I don't know. As far as other ones go, Lord of the Rings MMO that's being developed by Amazon as well, I'm sure is probably 2-3 years away. If not, you know, they're working on New World, but I do believe that people said that New World is kind of a test for them while they're working on Lord of the Rings. So we'll see how that actually plays into the release of the Lord of the Rings MMO and New World and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I'm always excited for a Lord of the Rings game, especially with an updated MMO. Could not be mad about that at all. Then there's Project TL, which this game just hasn't gotten any updates for quite some time, so just kind of thrown it on the honorable mention list. If we ever get an update this year, cool beans. If not, you know, I'm sure we might be another year or two away from even information. Nonetheless, a release I'm sure is somewhere down the beaten path, but who really knows at this point. Now for the last one, it is Riot's MMO. Riot's MMO, we don't even know pretty much anything about it right now. People are speculating that, you know, there's gonna be these certain classes based on, because there's you know, the archetypes of champions within League of Legends. But right off the bat, I think people can just say, finally, this is something that we've been waiting for quite some time. I think the environment and the world that you find within you know, Riot's games and League of Legends is very interesting. So hopefully they can, you know, do a good job there, and just now branching out into other genres. You know, we'll see. I'm sure we're probably a couple years out of a release date as well for this game. Nonetheless, all these games are looking like, you know, some steam is being built up and they're finally getting somewhere. But if you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys are looking forward to any of these games, even the honorable mentions, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.